Hello, curious folks. Today, let's discuss one of humanity's greatest milestones, the Industrial Revolution. So, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so that we can create more and more videos for you. Without further ado, let's dive into the whirlwind of the 18th century, where a silent transformation began shaping the destiny of humanity, the Industrial Revolution. It all began in the depths of workshops and factories, where rusty gears took the first steps toward an era of irreversible changes. On the riverbanks, steam engines spewed smoke, challenging the manual reign of production. The clinking of mechanical looms broke the silence of villages. Well, in the heart of this movement, cities began pulsating with a different energy. Workers, once craftsmen, became crucial components in the industrial machinery as factories came to life. The path to modernity was being paved. However, as with everything in life, the Industrial Revolution would not be exempt from shadows and challenges. As the gears of the Industrial Revolution turned, they cast shadows that obscured the rays of progress. In factories, workers endured exhausting hours, facing unhealthy conditions and meager wages. The promises of a new era were stained by the sweat and sorrow of those whose lives were engulfed by the steam of machines. Cities, though illuminated by the lights of innovation, saw the rise of slums and precarious living conditions. Unbridled urbanization brought with it the shadow of social inequality, transforming urban centers into stages of glaring contrasts. While industries flourished, nature murmured silent protests. Rivers darkened with industrial waste, and smoke from chimneys became a heavy veil over the sky. The land, once untouched, now felt the first signs of unrestrained exploitation. Progress, paradoxically, left indelible scars on the landscape and social fabric. The Industrial Revolution revealed its contradictions, and the quest for balance became essential. In the intertwining of decades, the web of industrial innovations spread to every corner of the globe. New machines, production methods, and scientific discoveries irreversibly transformed the economic and social landscape. The railway, like a pulsating artery, connected distant cities, shortening distances and driving trade. Electricity, like a beam of light, illuminated the shadows of factories and dark streets. Technological innovations multiplied, propelling society toward a future full of possibilities. The rise of mass production redefined the relationship between product and consumer. Goods, once accessible only to the elite, now became available to the masses. Consumerism awakened, carrying with it the promise of a better life for all. However, behind the glitter of new products, the challenges of a society in transformation persisted. In the wake of the Industrial Revolution, anonymous heroes emerged to shape the course of history. The changemakers, men, women, and children, relegated to the shadows of factories, became the protagonists of a silent struggle for rights and dignity. Unions, like beacons of hope, arose to represent the interests of workers. Strikes and protests echoed through the streets, calling for fair working conditions and humane hours. Workers, once forgotten, raised their voices in chorus, challenging the gears of the system that oppressed them. Literature and art became powerful expressions of this social awakening. Writers and artists, such as Charles Dickens and William Blake, portrayed the hardships of the working class, shedding light on the injustices permeating industrial society. Thus, the changemakers rose, not only against the machines, but also against the social injustice that fueled them. With the frenetic dance of modernity, the Industrial Revolution spread like a voracious fire, touching every sphere of life. Cities grew vertically, challenging the sky's limits with steel and glass skyscrapers. The urban landscape transformed into a mosaic of innovation and challenges. The rise of the middle class, fueled by economic prosperity, created a new social order. Cafes, theaters, and ballrooms became stages where the nuances of industrial society were displayed. Culture, now more accessible, reflected the contradictions of the time. Between enchantment with modernity and nostalgia for the rural past, the transportation revolution extended to the seas and skies, connecting once isolated continents. steamships traversed the oceans, while the first airplanes defied the laws of gravity. The world shrank, but the price of globalization began to reveal itself. Borders disappeared. But new divisions emerged, outlining a complex and interconnected panorama, while the flame of the Industrial Revolution burned intensely. The first warnings about the environmental cost of unrestrained progress emerged: polluted rivers, darkened skies, and devastated landscapes began sounding an alarm for the need for a more sustainable approach. Scientists and thinkers began raising the flag of environmental preservation. Naturalist John Muir, faced with the destruction of natural landscapes, called for the protection of wilderness areas. Movements advocating conservation and nature preservation emerged, signaling a collective awakening to the interdependence between humanity and the environment. Environmental awareness, still in its early stages, planted the seeds for future movements. Industrialization, which prospered for a long time at the expense of nature, began facing a fundamental dilemma: how to reconcile progress with the preservation of the planet that shelters us. The environmental awakening became a crucial chapter in the history of the Industrial Revolution, pointing to the urgent need to rethink the course of development. As the 19th century gave way to the 20th century, the Industrial Revolution entered a phase of maturity, revealing signs of fatigue and wear. Factories, once symbols of progress, were now witnesses to an excess that exacted its toll. The uncontrolled expansion of industries generated increasingly complex social problems. Working conditions, while improved in some aspects, remained challenging for many. The imbalance between the rich and poor, urban and rural, became more evident, prompting social movements and political reforms. World War I, like a global earthquake, shook already weakened structures. The Industrial Revolution, which once united nations through trade and innovation, now served as a backdrop for a brutal conflict. The world witnessed not only the decline of an era, but also the pressing need to rethink the directions of society and technology. The revolution, which began with promises of progress, was now poised to give way to a new chapter in human history. The twilight of the Industrial Revolution left behind a complex and multifaceted legacy. Social and environmental scars were evident, but so were the achievements that shaped the modern world. As the gears of change continued to turn, humanity found itself with the responsibility to forge a balanced path between progress and preservation. In the post-war era, the world rebuilt with a new vision. International organizations, such as the League of Nations and later the United Nations, emerged to ensure that the mistakes of the past were not repeated. Environmental movements gained strength, and social awareness drove reforms in search of justice and equity. Technology, once a symbol of innovation, now became a powerful tool to tackle global challenges. The digital revolution emerged, connecting the world in ways previously unimaginable. Humanity found itself, once again, at a crossroads: how to use technology to promote the common good while respecting the limits of the planet. The Industrial Revolution, in its epilogue, taught that progress is not linear, and each advancement brings intrinsic responsibilities. As we move forward, it is imperative to remember the lessons of the past and shape a future that reconciles the pursuit of progress with the preservation of humanity and the environment. The chapter of the Industrial Revolution, marked by shadows and lights, serves as a reminder that each era carries the responsibility to forge its own destiny. That's it, curious minds. Until the next video.